It's hard to remember now, but as recently as last week, most people didn't consider Iran an imminent threat. Iranian saboteurs were not committing acts of terror in our cities. Oh, but our leaders tell us they were about to any second, and that's why we struck first. What's so striking is how many people appear to accept this uncritically. Just the other day, you remember, our intel agencies were considered politically tainted and suspect. Certainly on this show they were, and will be for quite some time. Keep in mind, these are the people who invented excuses to spy on the Trump campaign purely because they didn't like Donald Trump's foreign policy views. And they're the ones who pretended he was a Russian agent in order to keep him from governing. Remember that? Russiagate? Our friends in the intel community did that. And by the way, these are the same people who lied about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction way back in 2002. And by doing that, got us into an utterly pointless war that dramatically weakened our country. The people pushing conflict with Iran are the same people who did that. It seems like about 20 minutes ago, we were denouncing these very people as the deep state and pledging never to trust them again without verification. But now, for some reason, we do seem to trust them implicitly and completely. In fact, we believe whatever they tell us, no matter how outlandish. Iran did 9/11, they're telling us. Oh, okay. Didn't know that. 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Sunni Saudi Arabia. None were from Shiite Iran. But if you say so, Mr. Unnamed CIA official, I'm happy to send my kid to the Middle East a week after Christmas on the basis of your anonymous and unverified leak to the New York Times. You've earned my trust through years of lying to me. That appears to be our position now. Now, maybe all this will turn out fine in the end. We're certainly praying for it. We love this country. But in the meantime, pardon the skepticism. Andrew Bacevich knows a lot about war. He was an officer in the Vietnam War in 1970. He was president of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. He's author of the book, The Age of Illusions, How America Squandered Its Cold War Victory. And of course, you may know he has a personal understanding of the toll of war. His son was killed during the Iraq War in 2007. Andrew Bacevich joins us tonight. Mr. Bacevich, thanks so much for coming on. So,
glad to be with you.
We, for a moment today, learned that the United States was, at the request of the Iraqi parliament, pulling out of Iraq. It seemed that way. A letter hit the newswire saying that, and then that was swiftly corrected by the Pentagon. And the update was, no, actually, we're not leaving. What do you make of that? Do you think there's a chance that we will leave Iraq in the midst of all of this?
Sadly, no. It seems to me that what's appropriate here is to widen the aperture. That is to say, let's not just talk about what happened with Iran over the last week or so. Let's reflect on the course of U.S. military policy in this part of the world for the last 20 years, 30 years. We've tried to fix the place, whether fix means spread democracy, eliminate terrorism, create order. We've broken the place. And it seems to me that the key issue is whether or not to persist in this misguided effort. I didn't vote for President Trump, can't imagine voting for President Trump, but he did promise in running for the presidency to get us out of this mess. And it seems to me that the assassination of General Soleimani is not a step in that direction. Pulling U.S. troops out pursuant to the stated preference of the Iraqi parliament might be a step in the right direction.
I'm concerned that there's manipulation going on here. And I wonder, as someone who's been in and around government for your entire life, if you think it's okay for the rest of us to take at face value assessments whose provenance we don't know, can never know, that come from people who we've just caught lying to us. Just the other day, we were just denouncing them as the deep state. In my case, it was heartfelt. Those same people are telling us things we can't verify. And why do we believe them uncritically all of a sudden?
I think our skepticism is entirely appropriate. The Afghanistan papers that were leaked or released by the Washington Post a couple of weeks ago chronicle a long period of dishonesty, deception, incompetence, and there's no reason to think that the present administration with Trump's advisors are going to do any better. But it seems to me here that the larger problem may not be conscious dishonesty, trying to pull the wool over our eyes. I think the larger problem is a mindset, widespread in Washington, among civilians and among the military, that somehow or other the use of American military power is going to solve our problems. And again, we've been at that for 2-3 decades now, with no evidence that we are achieving any significant progress. So, it seems to me it might be the moment to try something different. Try a foreign policy based on restraint, prudence, diplomacy, rather than simply more force, more bombs, more killing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have made America stronger, which is my concern. It seems to have made us weaker, and I'm against it. Andrew Bacevich, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Congrats on your book.
Thank you.